The Lord doth take away the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem
The Lord
Yahushai,
doth take
Ba'ashem
away.
Rakah Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. You just heard the name of this lesson. The Lord doth take away the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. What you see before you is fair use notice. This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended for any monetary gain, just for educational purposes only. I want to play some videos, a couple of videos on here that, I don't want them to strike the channel, so that's why I'm putting this fair use notice up at the beginning. Now, as you brothers are seeing what's happening pretty much around the world, but mainly here in America, there are a lot of things happening to where it's slowly but surely, shutting America down. Because pretty much what it is the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shutting this place down. Because they've had their time to rule. And it's just time for them to go. Let's go real quick to Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So pretty much the days of this kingdom have been determined. Just like when we read in Daniel the 5th chapter, when the Lord told Belshazzar, that his kingdom has been numbered, and this kingdom has been numbered. Every kingdom on the planet that has ever set foot on the planet and ruled on the planet pursuant to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has had a beginning and an end, and they could not add any time to their ending, so we're witnessing the end of America. Now, what we're witnessing is the left-hand side of the Most High working through these international bankers to create these crises that we see going on around the world. But that's the Most High working on the left-hand side, because they're in their mind, they're thinking that they are the ones doing this, which they are, but they're being inspired by the Most High to do that, because this is the left-hand side of the Most High working so that he can checkmate them with the right. So these devils, their days have been determined. The months have been determined. Their bounds have been set and appointed, and they can't pass that. So this is why we're witnessing what we're witnessing. And Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that he has given us an insight to the whole picture. That we understand that the reason why these things are happening and the reason why the international bankers are doing this far beyond their goal to trying to achieve the New World Order. We know that it's the Most High working on the left-hand side to push these devils to do what they're doing so that the Most High can checkmate them. Now, I was looking up some articles, and I ran across this article here. Bread lines erupt across America as lockdowns crush America's working poor. And this is what it's all about. And this is why the scriptures speak about, in the book of James. Let's go. Let's read read that real quick. Because these international bankers, they got a lot to pay for. And they will get dealt with. And pretty much, Israel as a whole, so-called Negros, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we're going to get hold of them in the kingdom of heaven. But these nations are also going to get a piece of them, because he got everybody fucked up pretty much. James 5:1, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. So there's going to be miseries that are going to come upon these devils, and they're going to be howling. The first misery is the loss of their kingdom, the loss of that money racket. And then after that, them going into hardcore slavery. That's going to be the next part of it. Because the shock is going to be, I can't believe that we lost all of this, that we spent so much time and energy, effort and money, into putting together. I can't believe this didn't work. We had everything calculated to the last minute detail. This was supposed to work. And they're going to have to come to the realization that their dreams have been invaded, that their dreams have been knocked down by the Most High. So the word for miseries is tali porea, which means hardship, trouble, calamity, misery. So what's going to bring these hardships and troubles, calamity, and misery? Slavery. Them being as though they had not been. The kings, the ruling class among Esau, going into these hard times, these straight times, these troubled times, these calamitous times, these miserable times. So many miseries are going to come upon them. So it says how. I looked this word up before, but let's look it up again. Ololudzo. That don't sound good, You're in that Ololudzo spirit, dog. It says to howl, wail, lament, of a loud cry, whether for joy or of grief. In their case, grief. That's what's coming to you, chief. You are international bankers. You're the head. You had the power, and you didn't use it well. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten, because the way they got it is not good. The scripture says, you reap what you sow. He that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. And many, many other scriptures that echo that same sentiment of those two precepts. Your gold and silver is cankered. Why? Because it's real riches, but those riches are cankered, meaning they're stained. They're cancerous, because the way they got them was not by right. And the rust of them shall be a witness against you. What is the rust of them? The way in which they got them is going to be a witness against them. And shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Why? Because their flesh represents what? Their flesh represents their goal. The end goal, which is what? The New World Order. That New World Order dealing with having the whole world in the palm of their hands, with everyone chipped, which is the mark of the beast, and everyone on the planet being subservient to them, and they being the only ones to benefit. Because they are so demonic that they cannot stand for anybody to be self-sufficient, for anyone to have a good time, for anyone to do good, for anyone to be self-sustained. They want everybody to be miserable and reliant upon them. So that flesh, that dream, that goal that they have is not going to come to fruition. They're only going to get so far with it. You have heaped treasure together for the last days, and we see it right now. Because as we speak right now, all of these international bankers could be in their bunkers right now. This is why you had a lot of those CEOs that pretty much left good jobs. They resigned. Why? Because they know a storm is coming. You have a whole bunch of military men and different government officials and stuff going into what is that mountain retreat? Not retreat. That mountain out there. Can't even think of the name of it right now. Elder Pastor did a video on it. I can't really remember, but it's pretty much a one of those shelters. Mountain shelters. If you brothers know what I'm speaking about, you could put it on the comment board. I can't think of the name right now. But why are they doing this? Because they know something is coming. But they don't understand that those that are here in America that are in those bunkers, when Yahweh Shai comes back, they're going to die, and that's going to be their grave. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. See, how is it kept back by fraud? Because they're pretty much have people chasing their tail. Have them working and kept in an ongoing cycle like that rat or like that gerbil that just running on the wheel, and it's going fast, but it's going nowhere. You know, so they got these people in that proverbial hamster on the wheel thing. You know, the water, brother. Yep, Cheyenne Mountain. That's it, Cheyenne Mountain. The Cheyenne Mountain. There was another word to it, but that's where they why are they there? Because they know something is coming. So this is, you got it by fraud, and that is crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Because although Jake, you know, is wicked, and a lot of them are going to die, the Lord still hears their cry to a certain degree because they're still his people. You know, it says, you have lived in pleasure on the earth, that's these international bankers, and been wanton, meaning they've been undisciplined. It says, you have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Because when you have a slaughter and you have that great feast, there's plenty to eat that day. And people eat to the fullest, you know, till they pass out. So that's how they've nourished themselves, as in a day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. And you still have Jakes out there that are still not resisting. They're just complying. But what's happening now is you're having bread lines erupt across America, as the article says, as lockdowns crush America's working poor. The economy has crashed into a depression. And this is really what this whole COVID-19 was all about. You know, there is some flu type thing going on there, which flu always happens every year, but they're using that as their catalyst, so to speak, or their catapult into pushing their agenda forward. Because this has systematically shut down the world. So much so that out in Canada, coronavirus police to verify Canadians complying with quarantine orders, RCMP says. It says, Canadian police are to begin visiting homes to enforce the government's COVID-19 quarantine. The RCMP said on Friday, warning that recklessly failing to comply could result in a $1 million fine and 3 years in prison. So this is something that has taken over worldwide. And they're shutting everything down because they're in right now a transition from the old ways into the new ways. And the new ways only benefit the so-called banking elite, not everyone else. So right now what we're witnessing is a transition of the old world into the new world, so to speak. Even though we've been in that, but now they're really putting the cement, they're putting the final nails in the coffin, so to speak. But they don't understand that the Lord is going to bring the ultimate change of worlds. Because a new world is coming, and that world is going to be ruled in total righteousness, with Yahushua being at the head of that, underneath the Most High, you know, and then the rest of the Israelites. It says 16.78 million Americans have applied for unemployment benefits. And this is why it says, let's go real quick, to Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. It says, just go straight to the point. 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And we're witnessing this. And this whole COVID-19 situation is what's pretty much bringing everything to a halt. It's bringing everything to a halt, to a screeching halt, where nothing is barely anything is moving. And it's going to get worse. This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. In that day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Who are the keepers of the house? Those that are watching over the what they call the gross GDP, the gross domestic product, or the financial growth of this country and pretty much around the world. You know? Why are they trembling? Because they're seeing everything systematically being shut down. I was listening to this dude, the Ice Age farmer, and he was saying how, I'm not sure if it was one or six major slaughterhouses I believe it was in America, if I'm not mistaken, are shut down pretty much. So pretty much a lot of farmers are throwing millions of gallons of milk away. A lot of farmers are forced to toss a lot of fruit and vegetables away because they're going bad, because they're not being picked up. You know, when you go to these different supermarkets, you're seeing that the aisles are dwindling. Like I went there yesterday, and it was, you know, certain places there was hardly nothing, but they restocked it today, you know. But slowly but surely they're running out of those what you call it, because you have big warehouses where they store certain things. And once those warehouses run out, and if they have nothing else coming in, what's going to happen? There's not going to be any food. So what it's causing these different places that are food banks for the extremely poor. Now middle class people and just people in general that don't have it are in those lines for miles. So the keepers of the house are trembling because they don't see any future in this country. It says, and the strong men shall bow themselves and the grinders cease. What are the grinders? These jobs. The grinders cease because they are few. And why are they few? Because they're systematically shutting the world down. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. And that's these stock traders, you know, that watch for the benefit of different stocks and what sells and what doesn't sell to make their investors money, so that they can get paid off of a cut from that, you know, because they get, I don't know, anywhere from 10% to, I'm not really sure the ratio on that. I'm not a financial expert, you know, but all of this stuff is shutting down. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. And when you look, we're going to read this article some more, but when you look down here, where is it? I want to get the one. There's one here. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's a little further down. Is it this one? Just bear with me 1 second. Oh no, this is not the article. It's this article. Drone view of Manhattan under lockdown, now a ghost town. And when you watch this video, all you're seeing is the drones flying through Manhattan. And Manhattan is the capital, financial capital of the world. And look, it's nothing but a ghost town. This has never happened. This has never been seen like this. You know, there's never been a time like this before. Ever since this place was set up, it was always busy. They call it the city that never sleeps. But now there's nothing moving. You know, businesses are shutting down. Even businesses that are considered to be essential, they're not really making the money that they were making. So they're forced to shut down because they can't, you know, they can't function. And this is a systematic shutdown and a systematic reset of the whole entire planet. Look at this. This is Wall Street. This is Wall Street, people. Look, this is the bull. This is always full down here. There's always people taking pictures and, you know, parading around this. It's a ghost town. Pursuant to prophecy, it's shutting down. Look at that. You got one person right here. Look at that. These streets will be full of people walking up and down, going to and from work. You have vendors all over the place selling that nasty camel meat, hot dogs, and all kind of stuff. You know, ISSACHAR selling fruit, you know, mangoes and oranges and all that. You don't see none of that. The city that never sleeps. Even looks like even some of the, look at this. This reminds me of the movie I Am Legend. This right here, this is always crowded with cars passing through here. Going from one, because this is a roadway that leads through this building. I don't know the name of this building. It leads through the building in tunnels to come out to the other side. I believe the other side is 42nd Street, if I'm not mistaken. This is always full of cars. And this thing is empty. This is live footage from drones. So there's something wrong. There's something happening. Chinatown. always bustling with business. If I use that word correctly, you know, even this is always full of people. There was always life in Manhattan, but this is shut down. Radio City Music Hall. Look at that. Shut down. You know, shut down. Ghost town. Ghost town. And what you think is happening to these businesses that are there? If people can't go out, they got to shut down. This is Columbus Circle. Look at that. Dead. This is a systematic shutdown. Look at that. This place is always full of people. Walking here, sitting down, eating. You know, shut down. Nothing going on. Look at that. You've got a couple of people walking there. Got a couple of people there. But for the most part, it's a ghost town. There were times in New York City, where you couldn't even walk on a sidewalk. And you could tell the people that were tourists from the people that were New Yorkers. Because the New Yorkers would walk in the street while the tourists would be cramped on the sidewalk. But look at it now. Dead. Smoke. Dead. Gone. You know, this is you know, it's crazy, man. And you can see here, we saw the picture, the video of that. This is West 50th Street. Yeah, this is the Charging Bull. This is Wall Street. This is the New York Stock Exchange. West 50th Street, that's dead. This is Grand Central Terminal. This is always full of people in the trains going all over the country. You know, up around this area. You know, you got this is Grand Central Terminal right here. Then you have Chinatown, which we just saw. Globe sculpture at Columbus Circle. That's Columbus Circle. There was nobody there. This is I'm not sure that. Look at that, man. This is just all ghost town. Now let's go back. Ecclesiastes 12. And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And the sound of the grinding is very low. It's almost to a halt. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, meaning in the morning, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Because the creativity of this place is gone too. And just in general, this place is finished. It says, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, which is when the Lord Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and the desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. And people are mourning right now, because the wicked are in authority. And they're making their lives miserable. So let's go back to the article. It says, and consumer sentiment crashed the most on record. This American horror story has taken only 3 weeks to play out, the fastest and most severe economic crash in the country's history. And still we don't know the true extent of the damage until the second half of the year. So we're just looking at the precursor, the beginning stages of it. However, the one thing we do know is that food bank networks across the country have reported unprecedented demand as a hunger crisis unfolds. Here's our reporting on the evolution of the virus pandemic has morphed into a financial crash and now social crisis. Suppliers are starting to get really tight nationwide as food distribution systems break down, food banks overwhelmed as America's working poor starve during lockdown. America's new breadlines are growing. It says, and how do we know food bank networks are becoming overwhelmed across the country? Well, citizen journalists have launched their Chinese DJI drones overhead food banks to figure out why there are miles long traffic jams of hangry not hungry, hangry. I guess that's a combination of hungry and angry. Hangry people. And it appears that these lines are America's new bread lines, similar to what was seen 9 decades ago in the Great Depression. And I believe it was Gerald Celente said this is going to be the greatest depression. It says hundreds of cars waiting in line at a food bank in Duquesne, Pennsylvania on March 30th. Now check this out. Look at all. These are all cars lined up waiting to go to this food bank. Hundreds of cars. And can you imagine how long it's going to take for each one of these cars to get up in there and get their food and go home? And that's if they don't run out by the time they get to the back of the line. This is it. You know, this one right here, this is here's footage from April 2nd documenting long lines of cars trying to get into the Feeding South Florida food bank located in Broward County. Check that out. These are all cars trying to get into this food bank. You know, people get restless. You know, they get out the car, so they got to jump back in the car, you know, once it's time to roll so that they can drive, you know, so they don't lose their place in line. And see, this is the distribution center there. And this ain't like going to the supermarket where you could pick what you want. You're going to get what they give you. Because imagine if every one of those cars had to stop and go around and picking what they wanted. They're taking their sweet time. Do you know how long that shit would take? But this is the shutdown that's going on. America is pretty much the new Venezuela. Now you go to like places like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or different places like that. You got to wait in a long fucking line outside the goddamn store. Then when you get in the store and you get what you got to get, then you got to wait in a long ass line to pay for your stuff. A super inconvenience. See? It says on Thursday, the San Antonio Food Bank located in San Antonio, Texas, aided about 10,000 households with food. Look at that. It was a rough one day, said Food Bank President and CEO Eric Cooper, after the largest distribution day in the nonprofit's 40-year history. We have never executed on a large of demand as we are now. Helicopter footage, courtesy of Ken's 5 San Antonio News, shows a shocking aerial view of thousands of cars lined up at the food bank waiting to receive a care pack. Also on Thursday, the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank saw a line of cars waiting for free groceries stretch about a mile, reported Reuters. Hundreds of other people, many the working class poor, lined the streets waiting for food.
10,000 San Antonio families came to Traders Village today to get food from the food bank. Chopper 5 was flying over hundreds of cars waiting in line. Let's go live to Eyewitness News anchor Aaron Wright. And Aaron, the need for food in our community is growing during this pandemic.
Deb, that's exactly right. The San Antonio Food Bank prepared for 6,000 families. 4,000 more showed up today. CEO Eric Cooper explained to us the need for food is great and it is growing. The food bank is asking people to pre-register online to speed up the process.
And they need all this food, but then the farmers are throwing away food because they can't get them out of there. You go figure.
Cooper wants people to know the food bank cares and they're doing everything they can to help them. He hasn't seen a crisis this big in 25 years, as well as a line this big. Donations from Cisco Foods, Labatt Foods, Ben E. Keith Foods were a lifesaver today. Their food typically goes to San Antonio restaurants, but today it helped families in need. Cooper says he feels for every family waiting today and doesn't want anyone facing a challenge to be discouraged. He says, come in and get the help you need.
And I wish we could have got to them faster and been able to meet that need a little smoother than having to sit out in a parking lot and wait. But it just unprecedented. The need is so great at this time.
Cooper believes they will need federal or state aid to continue serving this many people. The food bank is asking all people of all faiths to consider donating, especially for Good Friday tomorrow, and help everyone impacted by the coronavirus crisis. They want to remind you every dollar you give means 10 pounds of food they can give to a family in need. Deb, back to you.
All right, Aaron, they certainly...
Well, why don't the international bankers give all the money for that, you know? The people that got a little bit of something barely got anything. And anyway, it says organizers of food bank said 2,500 families were given a 36-pound box of rice, lentils, frozen chicken, oranges, and other food, like the Elder Menadezakbar just said. He said when you go there, you just get a box of food, and that's it. And how long you think that box of food is going to last you? Here it is. You got 36-pound box of rice, lentils, frozen chicken, oranges, and other food. You'd be lucky if that'll stretch you out for a week. It says, I have 6 kids and it's difficult to eat. My husband was working in construction, but now we can't pay the rent, said Juana Gomez. These are Jake's, 50, of North Hollywood, as she waited in line. Here you go. Hundreds queue in rain for free food at Los Angeles as coronavirus impact bites. That's Jake. Jake is catching it. We're going to get some precepts. You know, Jake is catching. Look, this woman crying. She got a little box of food. This cat right here, man. Oh, no, is it a woman or a dude? I don't know. They got that thing balanced on their head, boy. This woman, she's praying. You know? But this is the hypocrisy of Jake, you know? Backed up over a mile, hundreds of Pittsburgh residents waited in line for hours to receive boxes of food for the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank amid the coronavirus pandemic. So pretty much, let's go to 2 Ezra 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So we're witnessing the plagues of the Lord coming upon the earth. And one of them is what? Famine. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, thus saith the Lord. So pretty much, this is the Lord bringing down his judgment upon this society. Because Jake was taking this thing lightly. They didn't want to listen. They wasn't trying to hear the scriptures. They wasn't trying to hear the men of the Lord out there breaking these things down for them. And for the most part, you got all kinds of... And you notice that the Lord waited until this word went worldwide. The Lord waited until brothers out there in South America, Central America, Mexico, different Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, different Spanish-speaking places got the word out. And now the Lord is bringing the crunch. It says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, because what they're doing is outside of the temple. Like Elder Pastor put up a video about, I forget exactly the name of it. There was 2 different videos, part 1 and part 2, where this woman was in a supermarket complaining about the prices of the food, that they were sky high, that they're going to starve, this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, they're grabbing pork, they're grabbing lard. Oh yeah, that's the one my mama uses. You know, they're grabbing all type of abominations. So it's profane. Neither will I suffer them in those things. So the Lord is not going to suffer these Israelites to keep doing this anymore, in which they wickedly exercise themselves. And that goes for everything from the diet to their sexual preferences to everything that they do in this society, to their form of worship. The Lord is putting the kibosh. He's the Most High is putting the lockdown on this. He's putting the smack down on this bitch. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Now let's go to 2 Ezra 16:18, the beginning of sorrows and great mourning. So we're witnessing that. Because Yahushua said before he gets here, there were going to be famines, there were going to be wars, rumors of wars, seditions, pretty much people fighting against each other. It says the beginning of famine and great death, because this famine is going to bring great death. And then what's also going to bring great death is that when these people are backed into a corner and can't get any food, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go into riot mode and looting mode. They're going to be trying to rip stores apart, different warehouses apart. And when those places run out of food, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go into different neighborhoods where people are well-to-do that got food, and they're going to start taking their shit. It says the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. Why? Because of this famine. You know, that's one of the great motivators. Famine. It says the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So the Most High is sending this as a scourge. A scourge is a whip. So the Most High is whipping Jake with this current situation, using his sword, which is Esau, to create these things. It says, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness. And Jake still is not going to turn. That's what the Lord said. I'm going to return to my place till they acknowledge their offense. In their afflictions, they will seek me early. But guess what? For a lot of these Jakes, it's going to be too late. Now you're starting to witness. Now, I know you brothers that got your eyes open. You've been noticing how there's an influx of viewers to the Great Millstone videos. All of us, oh, great video. Oh, Shalom. They got the prayer down packed. Yeah, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rakakwadash, Barakatab, you know. But where were all these people at before? When people were calling us rapists, they were calling us pedophiles, they was calling us all kind of nasty shit. They were saying we were conspiracy nuts, we were bugged out, we were fear-mongering. But now they see the tide turning, now they want to jump ship. You see? And that's why a lot of those views, I don't trust those views. You know? It says, yeah, that's right, grabbing crab meat, yep. No, be always mindful of the scourges. Yeah, because Jake, forget, you know, there's a couple of precepts in the Apocrypha, in the book of Ecclesiasticus, where it speaks about in the day of affliction, you forget about, you know, when you had it good. And in the day when you had it good, you forget about affliction, something like that. I can't think of the exact, wording. You know, if you brothers know where it is, you know, if you could post it up, if I see it, I'll read it off from there. But it's along those lines. It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Yeah, because Jake was living it up. What did that woman say? Well, you know, you know, these things, these prices are ridiculous. Because at one time everything was cheap. But now it's taking a turn. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth. So we're witnessing the evils growing upon this earth. We're witnessing, and it's worldwide. It's not just talking about, you know, here in America. It's talking about the whole entire world that's going through this. It says sword, famine, and great confusion. So the sword is going to increase. It's going to grow. This evil is going to grow because the word evil means what? Ev means an age, and ill means bad. So a bad age or a bad time. Bad times are coming. Bad times are here. Bad times will get worse. Bad times will increase. Bad times will grow. Bad times will kick a lot of people in the ass. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, because people are not going to know what the hell to do, because they have nothing to fall back on. They only have this system to fall back on. And they don't know, they didn't realize that this system, the way it was set up, was set up to destroy them. And they believed in it wholeheartedly. That's why it says in Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. But there's going to be great confusion because there's not going to be any answers for, you know, their the calamities that they're going to. You know? All right, so it says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. It keeps speaking about famine. Many of them that grow that and this is why you have people committing suicide. The movie The Road. How many times he went to different places, and even the Book of Eli, and you've seen scenes where people were hung themselves, their whole family. Hey, if that guy's a scoffer, you could clip him, bro. You got the wrench. No, we ain't dealing with no foolishness, man. So if guys coming in here talking shit, they gonna get clipped. So maintain your status or shut the fuck up and don't say nothing. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. And there's not gonna be anything to comfort them. Matter of fact, let me read this again. For many of them that dwell upon earth. Yeah, you know what? This guy, I don't know about this guy, man. Bye-bye. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So you're going to have people that's going to die by famine, by the sword. And if you escape those things, there's going to be something else to destroy you. And that's why a lot of individuals right now are committing suicide. Like I mentioned in the movie The Road, in the movie The Book of Eli. You've seen scenes where people hung themselves. Why? Because there was nothing else to eat. So they rather take their life than to suffer hunger. That's one of the most horriblest deaths you can get. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And we're witnessing these cities being cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. And pretty much, this is why you see these ghost towns. And that's why no one is able to. That's why a lot of the food that these farmers are getting is being thrown out, because they don't have any means to get rid of it, to ship it out, because everything is systematically shutting down. Let's go to Jeremiah 15:1. Then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be towards this people. Why? Because the Lord hath stretched out his hands unto Jake, and Jake has rejected it, refused it, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to accept it. So now it's time for them to feel the crunch. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. So the Lord don't even want to hear your prayers. Like we saw in this article here. You see this woman, now they praying, but who you think she praying to? Sweet Jesus. And you have brothers out there in Peru, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, in Bolivia, and different places in so-called Latin America, that are teaching this word, and they're letting them know that the Lord is not a so-called white man, but that image is seared into their mind. So it says, and it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? In other words, where are we going to go? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword. And it's mercy for somebody just to drop dead than to have to suffer these things. And such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine. You see? And such as are for the captivity to the captivity, because when they put people in these concentration camps, that's captivity, man. And it's possible when they get them in there, they'll say, look, in order for you to go and be back a so-called working member in society, you have to take this chip. And what do you think the majority of these people are going to do? They're going to take that chip because they want to continue back in that comfort zone. So let's go to Jeremiah 5:10. Go ye up upon her walls and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away the battlements, for they are not the Lord's. So the battlements are what? It's twofold. It's dealing with the actual armies, but it's also dealing with the hedge that the Most High has around Jake for them to be able to eat, to be able to feed themselves, their families, and all of that. It says, for the house of Israel and the house of Judah have dealt very treacherously against me, saith the Lord. They have belied the Lord and said, it is not he. Neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. These scoffers, you know, and these people that were following behind these scoffers, and people that were following behind some of these other groups that were saying that, oh, you guys are crazy, you bugged out, this ain't gonna happen, that ain't gonna happen, this ain't gonna happen, there ain't gonna be no such thing as Jacob's trouble, you know, Jake ain't gonna catch no more hell, blah, 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 blah. Now what's happening? The sword is coming, the famine is coming. And they don't really have such a big mouth now. Now you know what they're saying? Yeah, see, we told you these things were coming. You wasn't saying shit, man. You wasn't saying shit. You were trying to keep the laws and keep the laws, which we're supposed to keep the laws. But they weren't warning these people. Now all of a sudden that is here, they want to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, we've been saying this the whole time. We've been telling y'all. No, you haven't. And the prophets shall become wind, and the word is not in them, thus shall it be done unto them. So they're going to catch hell. Isaiah 3:1. And this is where the title for the lesson came. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. Why? Because the Lord is about to bring a severe famine. Let's see what we got here for the word. Let's look up the word staff. Masha Aina. Support of every kind. Staff. So the Lord is taking away his support. Because you do use a staff for what? For support. You know, whether you call it a cane or a staff or whatever. You lean upon it to help you walk. So that support that the Most High was providing for Jake, the Lord is going to pull that away from them. He's going to take away their walking stick. And let's see, and the stay. Ma'asha'ain. Support, staff, same thing. It's the same thing. So the Lord is going to pull away the support of bread and the support of water, which are the two main things to sustain life. So the Lord ain't playing, man. Jeremiah 14:11. Then said the Lord unto me, pray not for this people, for their good. Why? Because the Most High ain't trying to hear Jake. We read that the Lord said that if Moses and Samuel stood before him, there's another one. In other words, if Moses was to pray for Jake, and if Samuel was to pray for Jake in these times now, the Most High's mind couldn't be towards this people. And there's another one where it speaks about Job and Daniel. It's in the book of Jeremiah. Just bear me 1 second, see if I can find it. Oh, nope. Let me go back. It's in the book of Jeremiah. Or was it Daniel? I know Daniel was in there. I believe Job was in there too. Oh no, Salaka. It was actually Ezekiel. Ezekiel 14 and 14. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should. Matter of fact, let's go to it. Ezekiel 14 and 12. The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Son of man, when the land sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, then will I stretch out my hand upon it, and will break the staff of the bread. Wow, wow. I didn't know that was in there. And will send famine upon it. Wow, damn. And will cut off man and beast from it. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, saith the Lord power. Wow. So in other words, the Lord ain't trying to hear no intercessor for Jake when the Lord start opening up on Jake. There ain't going to be no intercessor. Because the Lord was calling them by the mouth of the prophets and they did not hear. And now it's to the point where it's too late. So back in Jeremiah 14:11, then said the Lord unto me, pray not for this people for their good. When they fast, I will not hear their cry. And when they offer burnt offerings and an oblation, I will not accept them, but I will consume them by the sword and by the famine and by pestilence. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's look up this word famine. Famine. Ra'ib, right, which is hunger, right? Famine, hunger, famine in the land, nation of Yahweh's word, hunger of individuals. And we're witnessing that too. Eventually, they're going to be shutting it down. So the Lord's word ain't going to be readily available like it is. Let me see right here. It says scarcity of grain. So going back, famine, and by the famine and by the pestilence. Let's read it again. When they fast, I will not hear their cry, and when they offer burnt offering and an oblation, I will not accept them. But I will consume them by the sword and by the famine and by the pestilence. And we're witnessing some of those things now. Matter of fact, let's go real quick here. 1 Kings 18:37. If there be in the land famine, if there be pestilence, blasting, mildew, locust, or if there be caterpillar, if their enemy besiege them in the land of their cities, whatsoever plague, whatsoever sickness there be, what prayer and supplication soever they be made by any man, or by all thy people Israel, which thou shalt know, every man the plague of his own heart, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spread forth their hands toward this house, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive and do and give to every man according to his way, whose heart thou knowest, for thou, even thou only, knowest the heart of all the children of men, that they may fear thee all the days that they live in the land which thou gavest unto our fathers. But the Lord said that he's not going to hear Jake in these times. You know? He ain't going to listen to Jake in these times. Let's see. Then said I, Lord, power, behold, the prophets say unto them, you shall not see the sword, neither shall you have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. And they listened to some of these false prophets that told them that said we were conspiracy theorists, we were bugged out, we was, everything under the sun. Don't listen to them, don't watch their videos, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But look what's going down now. It says, then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. Therefore thus saith the Lord power concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I sent them not. Yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. So them same false prophets that said that there was not going to be any famine, or should I say there was not going to be these time of Jacob's trouble, they're going to find themselves in those troubles. And the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. So we're witnessing the Lord pouring his wickedness out upon Jacob, because they refuse to turn back to the Lord. Proverbs 1:20. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets, she crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates, in the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. And now we're witnessing how there's certain states now that brothers can't even go out on the streets and speak. So we're not witnessing a shutdown. Now I notice when I go live on my phone, it takes hours for it to come up on the on the feed, on my channel. Now I don't know, because yesterday I did a live on my PC, and it went up not too long after that. But then I did a real short live lesson, on my phone, and it took forever to go up, So, hey, we'll see. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Why? Because the words of the Lord and the understanding of it and the keeping of it is salvation. Because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel and would none of my reproof. So you didn't accept any of the correction of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua that he was giving you by his words in the mouth of his prophets. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. That's why it says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel, they despise all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them. So when they turn their shoulder away and their ear away from hearing the Lord, that's what's going to slay them. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil in these bad times, these perilous times. Now, let's go from there to Isaiah 51:17. You know what? Let me skip this one. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but what? But he shall be saved out of it. We just read in the book of Proverbs. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. So now let's go from there to Isaiah 65, which I see. Matter of fact, let's see. I'll just pull it up because I know it's gonna move a little too fast. Elder Manatazak put it up. I was gonna read it off the comment board, but that thing is gonna be moving too fast, so I'll get it here. Isaiah 65, and I'm gonna go straight to the point, just in the interest of time. 65:13. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, and the Lord power shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name. So a lot of these Israelites are going to get caught up in a bad case. Let's go from there to Job. Got a couple more precepts, and then we can close it out. Job chapter 5, verse 20. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. That's going to be something, man. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. That's, man. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. All right, so now let's go from there to Psalms 33:19. It says to deliver. Let's start at 38. Behold, the eyes of the Lord power is upon them that fear him. We just read that in the book of Proverbs. Upon them that hope in his mercy, and we hope in the Lord's mercy, to deliver their soul from death, and to keep them alive in famine. See, our soul waited for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, be upon us, according as we hope in thee. And let's go from the last precept I have here, Psalms 37:19. I'll start at 18. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time which is coming, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume, into smoke shall they consume away, because eventually they will be destroyed. The wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. So the main point here is they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. So we're going to be all right, brothers. You know, if we be the elect, you know, we keep doing what we've been doing, the Lord says he's going to take care of us and protect us. You know, so with that, you know, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Keep on fighting, you know, keep on keeping the faith, keep on, you know, pushing these videos out, keep on using this opportunity to, you know, push your videos out. Like I said before, business as usual until When they shut it down, then the Lord's going to make his move. You know? So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom. And their ear away from hearing the Lord, that's what's going to slay them. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil in these bad times, these perilous times. Now, let's go from there to Isaiah 51:17. You know what? Let me